Now, you get it. What's my point? The interesting idea here is that the quantum indeterminacy, which we encounter when we inquire into the tiniest components of our universe, can be read in exactly the same way as a feature of the limited resolution of our simulated world. That is to say, as the sign of the ontological incompleteness of what we experience as reality itself. That is to say, let us imagine a God who is creating the world for us, its human inhabitants, for us to dwell in. His task, I quote here Nicholas Firm, Introduction to Philosophy, his task could be made easier, God's task, by furnishing the world only with those parts that its inhabitants need to know about. For example, the microscopic structure of the Earth's interior could be left blank, at least until someone decides to dig down deep enough, in which case the details could be hastily filled in as required. If the most distant stars are hazy, no one is ever going to get close enough to them to notice that something is amiss. I love this theory because you got it. Why? The idea is that when God created the world, he underestimated us. He was too lazy. He thought that the limit of our knowledge is atoms. He thought that we will not go beyond the atom into dividing it. So why spend precious time of divine jouissance or what into constructing things there? So he simply left it open, you know. Who cares about the place of a particle velocity? Let's leave it open. We were a little bit too intelligent for God. We approached the end. We approached the limit. Now, of course, your counter question would have been, but what has this to do with materialism? Isn't this entire vision precisely based on the theological view? There must be a creator. My answer is no. That is to say, it's not necessary to read this ontological, as it were, incompleteness of reality as a sign that we live in a simulated universe, but we can simply read it as a sign of the ontological incompleteness of reality itself. And this, I think, is the difficult thing to accept. That is to say that reality is in itself incomplete, because our common sense tells us if reality is incomplete, it will collapse into itself. You know, you can play the game, but at some ultimate level, things, in order for things to exist, they must, by definition, fully ontologically exist. If reality really exists out there, it has to be complete all the way down. Otherwise, we are dealing with a fiction which just hangs in the air, like appearances which are not appearances of a substantial something. But here, precisely, I think, again, quantum physics offers a model of how to think such open ontology. This materialist lesson, to return, to conclude briefly, is for me the lesson of the book of Job. Because, read it. Every year I repeat this, I know. What really happens there? Job, 3 ideologies, as I already said, and did you notice the strange parallel between the structure of the book of Job and the structure of Freud's most famous dream, with which he opens Traumdeutung, interpretation of dreams, of Irma's injection. The structure there is the same. First, it's a catastrophe. The patient, the dreamer, Freud was dreaming it, looks into Irma's throat, horror, the real Irma's throat catastrophe. Then, all of a sudden, the shift into 3 stupid doctors who produce some reasons, inconsistence, why Freud is not guilty. No, there was no injection. The injection was already, Irma was already infected before, whatever. Doesn't exactly the same thing happen in the structure of the book of Job? First, the catastrophe. He loses everything from animals to women and so on. There also, exactly as in Freud, the 3 ideologists, what comes then are precisely the 3 ideologies. This is, I think, the 0 level of ideology. The 3 theologists which cut to Job with the message, there is a deeper meaning to your misfortunes. That's what we should resist. This is how ecology today predominantly functions, as there is a deeper meaning. We transgress some prohibition and so on. And this is why God is the only true materialist there, who comes and says there is no transcendent meaning, everything is a miracle. God, as remember, Chesterton says, God is for a moment an atheist, they're pure immanentist. There is no transcendent master, which is why, I think, we have to read Christ as a repetition of Job. What dies on the cross with Christ? As God knew, what dies is not an earthly representative of a transcendent. What dies is precisely God as this transcendent master of the universe. What dies on the cross for me is this idea, the idea of God as the ultimate guarantee of meaning. You know, this vulgar metaphor that I hate, that our creation is like a painting. When we see a catastrophe, it is as if when you look at the picture and you look too close and you see only the stain. But from a proper distance, you see that what appeared as a stain contributes to the harmony. Okay, I think that the lesson of Christianity, the materialist, this is for me the lesson of Christ, that we cannot afford this withdrawal. When we are confronting horrible things, I don't know, Holocaust, concentration camps, or other similar catastrophes, it's a little bit vulgar to say, yeah, this only appears to you as a catastrophe because of your limited perspective. Withdraw back and you will see how it contributes to harmony or whatever, no? There is no big other. This is why I think this would be a kind of a more materialist reading, why Christ truly sacrificed himself. The message is no, all we can do is here. There is no father up there who takes care of it. So in a way, I think that it's the opposite. It's not trust God. No, God trusts us. All that can be done is we should do it. In this sense, with this incomplete notion of reality, it's also that we can, how to put it, it opens up, in this sense, the space for freedom. There is freedom only in an ontologically unfinished reality. So it was exactly 1 hour. That's what I wanted. Thank you very much.